It was a Friday night, one of those evenings when the silence in the house felt almost deafening. I sat in the darkened living room, my mind racing. Just a few days earlier, I had discovered something that would change everything. A text message notification on my wife's phone. A message she clearly intended to hide. It wasn't something you'd expect after 5 years of marriage. Sure, our relationship had its ups and downs, but I always thought we were solid. So when I saw a name I didn't recognize, something deep inside me clicked. It was one of those gut feelings you hear about, the kind you can't ignore. I opened the message and there it was, all the proof of an affair. They were planning a date night. The words stung, but I couldn't look away. As I scrolled through the message history, I saw the emotional connection, the excitement, the flirtation. It hurt more than I could have imagined. My world felt like it was crumbling around me, but there was one thing I knew for sure. I had to keep my cool, at least until I had a plan. The next few days were agonizing. I couldn't bring myself to confront her right away, so I put on an Oscar-worthy performance, pretending everything was fine while gathering the strength to face her. But deep down, anger and betrayal were bubbling up inside. I kept replaying all the memories we'd shared, but now every single one felt tainted. Finally, Friday arrived, the night of their date. She told me she was going out with some friends and would be back late. I nodded, pretending I believed her, managing a forced smile. She kissed me goodbye, and it took everything in me not to pull away. As soon as the door clicked shut behind her, I sprang into action. I set up the living room, dimmed the lights, and positioned myself on the couch with her favorite wine. A bottle she would immediately recognize. I wanted everything to appear calm, almost calculated. I had no intention of yelling or getting emotional. I wanted her to walk in and feel the weight of my disappointment and betrayal. Hours dragged on in silence, each tick of the clock echoing through the room. Then, around midnight, I heard her car pull into the driveway. My heart raced. This was the moment of truth. The door opened slowly, and she stepped inside, surprised to see me awake. Her eyes widened as she noticed the dim lighting and the wine on the table. She knew something was wrong, but she tried to play it cool, offering a nervous smile. "Hey, you're still up," she said. "Yeah, couldn't sleep," I replied calmly, locking eyes with her. She quickly looked away, probably to avoid the confrontation she knew was coming. She took a step forward, but I stopped her. "How was your night?" I asked, watching her closely. "Oh, just a quiet night with the girls," she said, her voice too casual. I took a slow sip of wine, letting the silence stretch between us. "With the girls, huh?" I said, letting my voice drop just enough for her to feel the tension. Her face shifted as she realized I wasn't buying her story. The color drained from her face, and she opened her mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. "Save it," I said, pulling out my phone. "I know where you were tonight. I know who you were with." Her eyes went wide with shock. She covered her mouth with her hand, and for the first time she looked genuinely afraid. "Look," she stammered. I can explain." She tried to step closer, but I stood up, creating distance between us. "Explain," I repeated, feeling the anger I had bottled up for days beginning to boil over. "Explain how you've been sneaking around behind my back? Explain how you could lie to my face every single day." She was speechless now, her eyes welling up with tears as she realized there was no way out. I could see her searching for words, anything to make it right, but nothing came. "I thought we had something real," I said, my voice cracking despite my best efforts to stay calm. "I trusted you. I gave you everything, and this is what I get in return." She broke down, sobbing, and reached out to me, but I pulled away. "Please, just let me explain," she begged. "Explain? You've been explaining nothing but lies for weeks," I replied coldly, my heart aching but my mind resolute. "I don't want your excuses. I'm done being a fool." The silence that followed was heavy. She looked at me, her face streaked with tears, but I couldn't find it in myself to feel pity. I had spent too many nights wondering what went wrong. Now I had my answer. "Pack your things," I whispered, my voice barely audible. I want you out by tomorrow. The look on her face was one I'll never forget, pure regret and desperation. But I was past the point of sympathy. She had made her choice, and now she had to face the consequences. As I watched her retreat to the bedroom, still crying, I felt a strange sense of relief. The betrayal hurt, but at least now I knew the truth. There was no more pretending, no more living a lie. That night, as I sat alone on the couch, I realized that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is let go. But in that moment, I knew letting her go was the only way I could finally be free.